What is it that makes some people so different from others? How is it that a single person can stand out from a crowd of people? Why is it that some people's laughter is so genuinely warm and cheerful? Why do they have such a vivid and unmistakable sparkle in their eyes? Why do some people seem so joyful, so noble, so wise and mature? Why do some people have a perceptible magnetic attraction, a charisma that in the true sense of the word radiates? Why do some people radiate as if they were beams of light? Could it be that they are beams of light, shining stars in the dark void of this world? But where do these beams of light come from, and how do they come into being? A human being at the beginning of his voyage through life, he or she stands at the starting point of a long journey from the cradle to the grave, from Alpha to Omega. The journey this person will take will be their own unique way. Where does this journey begin and where does it end? Is it a one-dimensional journey in a linear form? Or a two-dimensional journey, a flat surface? Or is it a three-dimensional journey, a spatial body, round or rectangular, or displayed in many other forms? Is our world as we see it really only three-dimensional? Does our life run its course merely through 3 dimensions? As we know, human beings live from the moment of conception and birth until death. But what about the factor of time? Time is a 4th physical dimension. If we think of time as a cosmic dimension, then it becomes a crossing point, a level between the visible world and the invisible spiritual world. A level which is the door to transcendence, where reality crosses over to sensory perception. If we think of time at that level as a place where a body of light is created, then we can think of the body of light in the form of a spiritual being. The 3-dimensional world that we know is sufficient for everyday life and for the various tasks we need to master. When we think of time as a 4th dimension, then we're even better equipped for the here and now, for the visible world. But 3 or indeed 4 dimensions are still not sufficient for that special quality, a quality that clearly sets us apart from all other living things. We are capable of meta-communication. We are able to think of questions concerning ourselves, questions about the time before our birth and what will happen after our death. Can the 4th dimension give us answers to these questions? No. Physicists try to explain space using the basis of 12, 24, or even far more dimensions, and many talk about a multidimensional universe. But isn't it true that many complex theories are condemned to failure from the start? Does the answer lie perhaps in a very simple understanding? The understanding of the Lemmention, the lemniscate dimension, the dimension of infinity. Think of a person's journey through life not as three or even at best in a four-dimensional form, but using the idea of a dimension of infinity and the figure 8 lying on its side as a symbol of infinity. The 8 as an endless bow of life. Birth and death are not the beginning and the end. They are far more points of intersection between the earthly world and the beyond, between the material and the ethereal world. In the earthly world, we learn how to cope with life's tasks, and we generate in the beyond in order to prepare for the new tasks ahead. To be able to learn and for our regeneration, we need energy. We have this energy. It is indestructible. It is transformable. During the phase between birth and death, we find ourselves in what's known as the light space. This light space is the space and point in time of transformation. In the perceptible earthly world, fine streams of energy are formed in a person's body. Birth engraves its mark on the development of the body and the visible being. A person is born in a particular place and at a certain time. This is also the foundation of astrology. The effective powers of the constellation that are present at the moment and in that geographical place enable us to develop individually, a development that makes the interaction of the polarities possible. All the powers of this world have two polarities, a plus and a minus orientation. Our whole life cycle is subject to these laws. Our personal soul is either in plus or minus, in the beyond or in this earthly world. The vast difference between these polarities is that in the beyond, absolute independence rules. In the earthly world, however, there is a large material dependence. We are dependent on air, water, and nourishment. The theory of OctoLife, the voyage of your soul, proposes that the beyond radiates into the earthly world with a powerful, vast, and pure brilliance. Polarity is the term which expresses the relationship between things that are a result of each other. Polarity is the term which expresses the relationship between things that are a result of each other. Plus and minus as the opposite facing ends of a perfect entirety. We measure quality of the polarities with the aid of brain frequencies. The lower the Hertz count, then the higher the oscillation and the brighter the light. At 0 to 4 Hertz, we are in a deep, dreamless sleep. At 4 to 7 Hertz, our sleep is light and we dream. At a higher frequency level, matter begins to form. Between 14 and 16 Hertz, the matter is tangible and begins to have an effect. Over 30 Hertz, an intense concentration or complex learning processes are registered. Let us return to the moment of birth. In the very deep frequency level, consciousness is found. During the course of life, feeling in the frequency level will increase. Material feeling will step in and will steer our life to its most far-reaching extent. Or, if looked at differently, our brain is easily influenced through the collective consciousness in this earthly world. Why is this so? It's because our brain is a substance and from birth is influenced by other people and thus programmed. When in company, our brain is driven into the higher frequency level. The ethereal sensory organs of the human body, the so-called chakra, are the door to the deep and light-filled frequencies. They are important energy centers between the real body and the subtle body. And what happens as we grow older? At an advanced age, a deeper brain frequency is reached. Our personal soul, following an adventurous journey in the Lee dimension, the dimension of infinity. A human being begins life in the light space and will form throughout the school of life, through the influence and through communication with other people. During the course of this journey through the earthly world, our personal soul will continue to grow into an effective person, an object that emits energy, until the body, the substance which has enveloped the spirit, reaches the end of its journey. Then, the personal soul once again moves into the light space. Dying commences and the body perishes. In many near-death experiences, the people affected often talk about seeing an endless, soft, and yet bright light, a light that they've never experienced before. When we die, we pass through this light to the other side. Our personal soul travels only in the beyond, in the place of regeneration and the plus polarity, the place where the soul receives new tasks for its new life. With birth, a new journey begins in the earthly world, and carried with it is the knowledge, experience, and wisdom from its previous life. It is a collective knowledge and experience from the previous life given as a present. Life will become better, deeper, and wiser with every journey through life's bow. Between the polarities lies the aim of life, perfect harmony. The personal soul in an all-embracing complementary world, the personal soul on its journey between plus and minus. The spiritual rays of the beyond become measurable rays in the earthly world with help from brain frequencies. Independence in the world beyond, changes with the gradual forming of matter in the earthly world, matter as a growing form of thoughts. This is the infinity of life's bow, the perfection of the eight lying on its side with its ever-recurring interface between birth and death, the light space. The independence of the ethereal world of the beyond becomes the material world or the earthly world, as long as the material world can once again disperse into the concealed and invisible ethereal world. Plus and minus, they require each other. Like everything else, day and night, yin and yang, coldness and warmth, man and woman, the earthly world and the beyond. It is a world of complements which appears contradictory and yet has qualities that require unity. It is polarity that makes diversity possible. Plus and minus are the mysterious energies which open the velvet curtains of the play of life. It is a play that acts out a multitude of possibilities, without limits of time or space. A stage where sense and sensibility, spirituality and comfort are given to us as a gift. It has been said, "May your journey through life be always lit by a shining star." This star is OctoLife, the voyage of your soul. The more the personal soul travels along life's bow, then the better, wiser, and deeper life will become. The bow of life will itself become smaller and thinner. The beyond and this earthly world become ever closer together, until it is only the light space that remains between them. When the personal soul reaches the highest level of its spiritual evolution, then it remains in this light space for all eternity. And yet, where does the energy come from for the bow of life's own momentum? Where is the collective intelligence of this extensive system called OctoLife, the voyage of your soul? Who controls all this? It is the force of the dimension, the divine spiritual strength of the dimension of infinity, a mysterious energy, a breathtaking, ever-changing game between divine and human energy. Using his own individual energy, man takes nourishment from the dimension of infinity, and this strength is then given back to him through the momentum of life's bow. We can think of it as a spiritually divine perpetual motion machine. An energy cycle that is endless in itself, a perfect system. Human life and divinity melt together and give each other mutual strength and energy for always and forever. Here in this light space are the roots of the deepest and most valuable feelings and affections. In this light space is the origin of love. It is a love that is extensive and purely spiritual. It is sincere and true. This love comes into being and moves in this earthly world in a deeper frequency. It sways gently and is filled with light. Every person radiates his own particular frequency. If another person takes hold of this aura, an equation comes into being and both frequencies overlap. When both frequencies are alike, love is created. This love becomes stronger and more absolute in the light space and will accompany us through life with a soft ray of life and with one sole aim, everlasting love. How is it that a single person can stand out from the crowd? Why do some people appear so joyful, so noble, so wise and mature? Why do some people radiate as if they were beams of light? Because they are, in fact, beams of light. Because they have often crossed through the light space of birth and death. Because they are ripe and experienced travelers in the dimension, the dimension of infinity. This voyage of your soul has a name, OctoLife.